Right, hello everybody, and welcome to what is going to be the last video of January 1st year for me. And it's not going to be a very long video. I almost did it. I almost made it 24 hours into the new year without complaining about something. But today is going to be like a half and half video. The latter half is going to be about spoilers of the story variety, and the beginning half is going to be about disappointments. That's right. I'm already talking about some disappointments, starting off with XDeath. Now, this is something I didn't talk about earlier with XDeath during his video because I wanted to make sure, I wanted to confirm that I had it correct before I said anything. XDeath is, unfortunately, I am going to confirm, he is not a plant game. That's right, I checked it out. He is classified just as basically a human in this game, which is super disappointing. And it's not the first time that they've kind of misjudged this. Alphonse, I believe, was still classed as a humanoid, although that is technically just a walking set of armor and should be classified as, I don't know, a metal enemy. But yeah, this absolutely inexcusable. My day is ruined. 2025 is ruined already, and as such, yes, that's it. I'll be quitting Wotv. But in all seriousness, it's a bit disappointing. I do wish that the Wotv devs would do something a little bit odd like this every once in a while, and make a character that is not just classified as a human. I know that Human Killer basically is the bread and butter of a lot of the PvP modes, and there is balancing it to look at. But it would have been at least a little bit fun to have a character that kind of mixed things up, and I wish they did it more often. Who is considered a machine, I believe. I don't know, just missed opportunity. And that sucks. All right, so that is it for my list of disappointments. It's not really that big, but it is something that I need to clarify. Now let's move on to story, and specifically talking about story this time. The only reason that I'm doing this, this is the next part in the Wotv story. We're in number 12 now, and part 1, and part 1's through are a little like the way the shape that the Wotv story feels like it is going nowadays is very predictable, of essentially being like, hey, guess what, 1 is a setup, 2 is a lull, and then 3 is anything really big happening most of the time. And it feels way too often that that is the case. I was kind of hoping this time around that this first part of this chapter was going to be something pretty big, because they were hinting at it, and I can pretty much successfully say now that that is not the case. And so I do want to show this off. This is definitely in story spoiler territory, but it does bring up something that I just don't like in fantasies, which is when fantasies just kind of have really good setups, really interesting things, and then don't follow through on them. And game development, like resources and everything, I realize are a thing, but to have like years and years of setup for some of this stuff, or months and months of setup, a lot of the time feels just really, really bad. And I'm going to do a spoiler for something else, but it's not overly a story spoiler. It's kind of a side thing, side spoiler. You might want to skip the next minute if you don't want any metaphor refantasio. But as I've said before, I'm not a big fan of metaphor for a ton of reasons. Metaphor has great music, a pretty good main story, and it does some interesting things with combat and evolving that off of the Persona series. But it also does a lot of things that are really not good, that I do not like, and I just don't really like them at all in Metaphor. And when I see people choose it as their game of the year, it's like, okay, but as professional outlets that choose it, it's like, really, guys? Really? Okay. All right. But Metaphor is as I was saying in the side areas, does something that I hate in fantasies, when they set up something really interesting and then don't deliver on it. And when you're going to side dungeons, a lot of the time you stop and you look at this great vista, this beautiful title card with this excellent artwork of this neat fantasy area. And they talk about it for 2 minutes and then they go buy it. And then they go into one of the like 3 or 4 dungeon types that they have that are all look the exact same and play the exact same, and just have like, you know, different palette swaps of enemies that you fought by that point in the game. Like, seriously, there's the generic spirally tower that appears multiple times that I just didn't. It's just whatever at this point. There's the pillar dungeon, there's the general underground dungeon, and then there's the forest area. And it just kills me whenever you have a fantasy type game like that and you have these really neat ideas and then it's just like, yeah, that's beautiful. We're going past that. We're not doing it. Metaphor is so interesting to me because compared to Persona 5 had such better dungeon design, and I don't even care that the side dungeon was, you know, pretty repetitive, because like most of the time in Persona 5 you did spend in the actual like main story dungeon. So it just, Metaphor is one of those examples of not good fantasy. And I bring this up because here we have this setup with Mashiri, and it's a little, you know, it's a little early to still say, with, you know, the story not being finished for this book, of exactly what's going to happen. But basically Mashiri has been kind of like random summoning all of these characters, or all of these espers, not characters, esper. And she's been bedridden. She's looks like, you know, she's dying either from Dario magic cancer or something along those lines. And I thought to myself, like, without really like examining the dialogue and everything, what a cool setup. What a really cool setup. You have Mont becoming incredibly powerful with the new armor, which did follow through properly. But you also have Mashiri, the summoner, who seems to be going through some sort of transformation or power surge. Wouldn't this be neat? You know, we've had so many espers into that this year that have come out of essentially nowhere. Shinryu, some of the other dragons, the ice chariot, and all of that. Wouldn't that be neat if they worked those into the story? I mean, they must be putting these in other than just showing off some CGs. There must be a reason why these are being put into Wotv, and so far the answer is just no. Like, you check this out, and we do have a new character here, Fosset. I thought originally, like, wait a minute, is that the combination of like Whisper, Murmur, and whatever the last one is, Vigor? Doesn't matter. I thought that was actually the combined of these three. I thought that this was like, oh, Luartha got a brand new form, or a new story costume. Nope, this is apparently a new character, a new shooty gun character called Fosset. And that is actually her name is Fosset. So I guess the devs were looking around the room and were like, we need a name. It's 4:59. We're leaving at 5 today. What do you got? Well, I see the Fosset over there. Good enough. All right. But yeah, this new character Fosset, it's also just this weird combination. If anyone's ever played Tales of Zestiria, when you get two characters that fuse together, that looks like Fosset to me. Just with Luartha and maybe Setia, it's a weird, really weird combination from where I'm sitting, but hey, another gotcha character. But yeah, essentially Odin shows up and he gets shot, and then Mashiri gets the dagger shoved in her, which kind of just deflates whatever's been going on here. Like, yeah, just you just gotta magic. I hope it's a magic dagger, because you know, if it's one of those real kill ya daggers, then it's gonna be an awkward chat with Mont later of, hey, I saved your wife, you know, the wife of your child, by stabbing her. I stabbed her with a dagger. She's not crystal glowy anymore, but she might be a little bit dead still. What an awkward funeral that would be. Especially since now they're friends. But anyway, I don't know, like, to me, this would have been such a great setup, given that they keep putting new CG espers in the game, to tie them in somehow, like, to actually make them part of the story and make them matter. Because these CG espers can't be cheap to make, and they're still making them. So it feels like this would have been a good introduction if Mashiri, like, birthed or called forth these brand new espers that have never been seen before. Yeah, that dagger's still just sticking there. Takes the red thingy. I mean, the red thingy might end up working out later to be something important, but as of right now, it just feels so weird that, like, we have this kind of an anti-climax for everything that felt like it was building up. It feels diffused and kind of wasted for the entire set, which to me is annoying. It is frustrating that that is not, you know, better done. Anyway, obviously, like, I don't want to just be complaining, but criticism wise, like, it could still pay off a little bit down the line. But I was hoping for more. I was hoping for Alexander finally, because Alexander has just been one of those espers that has been weirdly missing for a long period of time. And if they're saving it, like, you can only save some of the stuff for so long before you kind of just either have to do it or never do it, sort of thing. Yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts about some of this. Let me know your thoughts, comments. And of course, if you're angry about spoilers, I have to ask you, why did you click on this video? Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're doing well, and see you next time. Take care.